So now I think the recording has been started, I believe.
Okay, so between your video and my audio, we will have we can share both back and forth. The other thing before
Mhm.
we get started, sort of formally on the sort of interview questions,
Mhm.
uh, I just want to also give you a little bit of background or understanding of what will happen after this.
Mhm.
After interviewing you and also others that I've tried to reach out to, I will basically use the transcripts to uh, code and make some qualitative conclusions from our conversation.
Mhm.
There's a software tool called NVivo. Maybe
Mhm.
you're familiar with it.
Mhm.
Basically, it's
I
a
know.
tool like
I know
you
about.
know it. So I will use NVivo to try to understand all of the different
Hmm.
pieces. And if you have also advice, I'm very open to hearing your advice on how to best go forward from here.
Mhm.
So that's what I had in terms of opening and sort of background. I hope that was sufficient to understand where we are to where we want to go. And then I'll pass it over to you. You can share your perspectives on the research questions and what you want to contribute to this.
Thank you very much for contacting me on my this research. Basically, the perspective which you have shown about the research is one, and I did my research on Make in India policy. Prime Minister Modi took over the came to power in 2014, and he started a mission called Make in India mission. So during that mission, he said the manufacturing sector has to grow in India. So on that sector, on those perspective, I was doing my research. So how Make in India policy is impact on the manufacturing of the IT hardware sector in India. So during my research, there's a two financial uh, the development happened. One is demonetization, and second is GST. This goods and services tax in India.
Yes, yes,
So basically, if we see the history of demonetization, right from the first demonetization happened in US and last in India, all were the disasters.
mm,
So those scholars in US, scholars in India, and even laureates also has an apprehension about this step. What this has been taken, and it's a disaster. Actually, they are thinking of it because it has been proved that it was disastrous
yes,
step, right?
yes, yes,
But on the other hand, if you see other aspects of this, it's not only demonetization; it's a link to the some other aspects also. In US also, there's a financial crunch was Lehman Brothers was happening.
yeah, yeah,
That happened because of bank was not in the position to take over everything, and they actually
yes, yes.
collapsed.
They were
And then
insolvent. Yes,
yeah, they were insolvent. And then Basel's norms came to the picture, right?
yes,
Basels was there, and they formed some Basels, and they said ki after Basels recommendation, all banking sector has to work uniformly. They should maintain minimum balance. At least that should not happen in again, right? Uh, on the contrary, in India, because of this cash economy, there's a all banks don't have a cash. Because
yeah,
of that, all government policy, because India has a mixed economy, we have a capital as well as socialized economy. The government has a special interest stake in a big mega projects, which are the for the infrastructure based. And during my research, I have found that if India has to grow, they has to invest heavily on the infrastructure. That was my observation on my research. And India was lacking lot of funds because of our entire money was in a market. Nobody is using bank as an instrument for doing their business. So bank was already already in a verge of collapse.
yeah. Already empty.
Empty. They are empty actually. So when and before this, our government is Congress government was in the power, and when Congress government has come in the power, this is one school of thought was there. Like people said, if you make living standards high, economy will grow. If people will happy, their expectancies grow and they will happy and they will grow. That's concept is very nice for Western countries. For us, we need to invest in our economy so that
Mm.
investor will come here, because for growing our economy we need our funds. For funds we need an financial uh, investments, FDIs, foreign direct investment in India. And that foreign direct investment, if you see the market for foreign direct investment, US is also playing very big. It's a big player for that. Let's say US is also inviting investors. China is also inviting
Yes.
investors.
Yes.
On the Australia is there, and
Yeah.
uh,
Everybody
everybody's
wants to.
inviting,
Yeah.
right? So India is nowhere, right? So if India
Yeah.
has to grow, they have to invest invest in all infrastructure, mega big projects. For that, government has taken a step, and this government, when came to the power, all people at higher office were from the last government. So it wasn't thing that everybody will criticize the government step. It has to be done. So when this step was taken, everybody said that demonetization is a failure because government has done something wrong. They have actually changed the notes. Otherwise, if you see, it's not a demonetization actually. After some time, you had to change over your currency, and then you had to
Remonetize.
remonetize it. So government, what government has does is they have pay little smarter. They said at least people will pay invest money. They will pay everything to the bank once, so that at least books records will be updated.
Mm. Mm.
So if you see the records of RBI also, right, there's a lot of cash came to the bank during that time.
Yes.
So all bank who was a cash banks were the cashless actually. They become a cash rich for, let's say, for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. But actually it impact the economy in that manner. Actually money came to the bank and they actually get it down. That's a part of economy.
Mm.
So that was a one positive factor about it. Second, was there in government in India, on the name of democracy or the human rights, there's a lot of terrorism is going on,
Mm.
which is based on basically on the uh, unaccounted money. That's called, we call
Mm.
hawala money actually. Which when you send
Black
money
money.
to
Yeah.
yeah, when you send money to somebody, and it is not
Is it
accounted
the same
money.
as black money or is it different than black money?
We say black money is that money, only that money which is not accounted for, which is not been tax is not been paid on that money. We say black money on that because it's a debatable issue, which is black and which is
Yeah.
white. But yes, black money is that which is not in accounted money, right? So
Yes.
during that time, Kashmir problem was also at a little on the little
Yes.
higher side on the violence, and when this step happened, so that also they also managed to curb them down actually.
Mm.
And there is one more factor in Indian economy, is a very large, which you are also ask, unorganized sector. Indian economy is basically, if you talk about 80% is an unorganized sector, and
Yes.
which is a pain for the government, which is a pain for the entire economy. Government want people should pay tax, people should make comes to the formal economy, and
Mm.
therefore they implement some structural reforms called GST, where they
Mm.
said, oh, you have to pay only one tax in entire India, don't need to pay again and again, so you have to pay only one tax, right? So for that also they want, government has taken a lot of steps for digital India. I have written few papers also on that. The government
I saw
has,
that. I saw that paper.
yeah, so government has done that digital India policy also, so that entire India should come on the one platform, and entire economy should be in structured economy. If you see the size of Indian economy is number 6 in the world overall, and if you see the per capita income for Indian economy, if you compare it with the France or these, we are way behind. So because of this unstructured thing, so government's initiative is to uh, the steps which government takes should be proclated to the bottom of the pyramid of our
Yes.
population. That's a essence of the government. That's essence of the entire system where whosoever in the power, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
For that they have taken these steps. And yes, if you take some steps in democratic government, people comes, they say something, and they said
mm,
something.
mm,
So that is going on. But yes, if you see, we had a blessing in disguise because of this demonetization, then GST, then COVID. If you
mm,
see entire region from 2016 or 14, if I say, let's write from 14 to 22, India is
mm,
going from a drastic social reforms, right? In a very,
mm.
in a very speedy manner. Entire banking sector, entire India was locked down
Yes.
for almost 2 years, but our banking sector was working, right? If our banking sectors are working, they actually transform everything on the digital platform. So our
Mm,
education also came to the digital platform. If you see, our internet penetration, mobile internet penetration is almost 200%. If you say broadband is not there, but mobile internet penetration is very high because of online classes and everything, right? So now things have been changes. So you
mm,
ask me one thing, whether it is ready, whether it should be right time to do it or wrong time to do it. Basically, if you see India, India is divided into 29 states. And if we say one European country, the area of one state is bigger than our European countries. So if we
yeah.
talk about UP, we have an Uttar Pradesh is a state. If we make the separate country, it would be the eighth or tenth largest country in the world.
Wow. Yeah.
Right, if we make
Yeah.
up as a country, right?
Yeah.
So in India, lot of societies are there, so we have an internet society also, which is bigger than the some of the European countries, right? So internet
Mm,
users, so if we can't ignore them, we had to
sure.
uh, put them into our economic structure and all that. For that, these steps were important, and government has taken care of everything. And during demonetization also, government has done this step on November 9, and by November 9 2000, I think so, 16 or 16 17 they have done, or and by the end of January February everything was done. So they have entire banking machines, ATM machines were changed over, and everything was streamlined. So
Mm,
so I had taken this question during my research also,
mm.
and I talked to lots of industry people whether this is
Okay.
good or bad, right? So even I, from my research also, which is going to be published very soon, I am publishing a book on that. So people have a positive thought on this, that they have done good
Okay.
step, and it is good. Whereas
Okay.
one school of thought is there, they said you have destroyed the unorganized economy, you have destroyed everything. In a way, I don't want to use that hard words, but yes, if you make a pie chart for Indian economy, we had to make a balance between agriculture, service sector, and the industrial sector. So
Mm,
for if industry we want to grow, we had to boost manufacturing sector. For doing boosting them, we had to do these structural reforms, which are drastic and important. So that's what we are doing. If you see, from 2014, but now World Bank has not removed that criteria, ease of doing business. We were on 141 position when Modi government was there. I'm not a pro Modi or or
no, it's okay.
pro Congress, right? I'm a academist.
We are researchers.
Yeah. So during India has a 141 rank in 2014, and by the 17 when I completed my research, it was on the 62 or 63. And government has
Okay.
planned to be on that rank, to be on two. If you talk about USA, Russia, these countries which are talking, they have ease of doing business. They are on the scale of 20. So we are way behind from these countries, right? So we
Mm,
need to do come on a same platform so that we can compete with the world, and we can do
mm,
something in the world. Yeah.
mm.
So these are the philosophical thought as well as the
Sure.
economic thought, because
Sure.
I met all the policy makers during my research. I have also taken a qualitative as well as a quantitative research. We have used NVivo also.
Mm,
So during our research, I had taken a lot of interviews, right from policymakers to the stakeholders, industry people, as well as to the people at the village level, right? So
Okay,
those
very
the
true.
like gram, we have a gram panchayats, small legislative parties in our villages, which they form their own government, local bodies, and they actually do everything. So they also want to grow, right?
Mm,
So
mm.
we are agriculture country, people say to us, but agriculture is not so productive. We have seen it. If you talk about the production level index, its production is not so high so that it can lead to the country, so they have to be in a manufacturing sector. So during that
Okay.
transformation, these steps are need
You
to be
mean,
done, and
you
that's
mean
been done.
impact to GDP? You mean contribution to GDP?
Yeah,
The agriculture sector's
I'm saying
impact.
contribution to GDP is very high, but
Mm,
the level of productivity. If let's
mm.
say a family is investing a revenue amount effort for agriculture some time, the amount which they are earning out of it, it is not so big that they can grow themselves for next generation to next generation. Like we have a example like Punjab. We had a state Punjab. Once it was one of the heart of the country. They are the highest on the contributor for the GDP, and they are still highest contributor for the agriculture part things.
Yes,
But
yes.
if you see the life of these people and compare it with the people from Gujarat and Maharashtra, who are the agriculture, who are the industrial states, there's a lot of difference now.
Okay, okay. Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fact actually. So even I had a interview with the finance minister of Punjab on this also. He has also vocally very said it. In fact, I asked him very bluntly, like he was from Congress. I said, Modi is investing something and you are against him, and then still you are implementing his policies. So they said, for the benefit of the country, we are the same. We are the one. So this is
Mm.
what. Yeah.
Yeah, so in a way, you have to put the politics aside, right? You have to
Yeah,
go
you have
forward.
to see the
And this is what
nation interest.
a good policy maker and a good policy implementer, they have, that's what they have to have in common.
In fact, if
Uh,
this is the reality of the entire all economy, in fact, like let's say in Pakistan also, what they have done is they have given a
yes,
entire land to China for that particular growth, for that investment part. Entire China will go from Pakistan and go to that Bay of Indian Ocean, where they want to be an access. So this is a reality nowadays. Nobody can grow without a business, and business is a most important thing for everyone.
yes. What do you think could be lessons that we could take? Because it was a big change. At least if you think about 2016, 17. What could there be? What could the lessons be for other societies, other countries, or other policy implementation, even for India?
Now, during the leadership of this government under Prime Minister Modi, he is actually driving something from the front. Like now, because India has an was in a trouble since 1991 when our Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated, because there's not political stability in the government in the center. So we don't have a such a political will who can drive the nation on that front, like other countries are driven. If you see, Russia has an Putin for last so many years, so this
Yes,
leadership is theirs. In US also, if there is president changes, although after 4 years, but system is so strong
yes,
that everything is
yes,
there, right? For
yes,
India, we don't have such a good leadership earlier because of the political instability and all.
mm,
Now, after 2 or 3 decades, I think so, we got a government came to the power who has an absolute majority. It's not a
mm,
coalition government. So when you have an absolute majority government, you can take certain steps, you can form certain laws which can took the country to a particular level. That's a that's a again debatable issue. What's a positive or negative? But yes, if there is a government in a center which has a decisive majority, they are actually in a position to do something for the nation. So that's what they are doing it, and they have taken not only a step for monetization and demonetization. They have done many steps. They are taking big steps in all fronts. The manufacturing, now they have changed the entire education policy in India. Earlier, if you want to be a graduate, so you need to go to the college for 3 years, right? After 3 years, you come to the college and you work. Now, what we have changed, you go to the first year, then go to the industry, do work, then come again for second year, then third year, and we will give you certificate for first year, for second year, and for third year.
Okay.
Right? So you
Okay.
don't need to be to be in college for 3 years. So we
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
investing a very huge amount on entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Government is thinking our youth should generate employment, and for generating an employment, we are doing uh, such steps in our education. We are actually focusing to make more entrepreneurs in the government so that they become a job creators than a job seekers. We don't want our people should go to US.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that even US also don't want us to be there. so
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's how it is.
Yeah.
Mm,
Well, of course, you have to invest in your own systems.
yes,
It doesn't make sense. You know, they used to say brain drain. You know, that's like
yes.
everybody going one place, and then.
So they
How about from your research, um, rural India?
that's
Uh,
what I said during my interviews from the rural India also. The there's a lot of gap in the rural India and the in urban India. If you say it's a Bharat and India, there's a difference between there because there's a lot of schemes which don't go up to the villages level. Don't go up to that level. So government has done for the with the cashless schemes. Direct benefit has been transferred to the poor people now. Now government has made the Aadhaar card, Aadhaar card.
oh yeah, the ID card, right?
That's ID card, right? That's Aadhaar
Yeah,
card.
yeah,
It's an one unique number, which is being given to every Indian, and it has been linked with the accounts as well as the PAN card, everything. So
yeah,
even education certificates are everything connected with that Aadhaar card. So on
yeah,
that card, all benefits has been transferred to the beneficiaries directly on their bank accounts. For that, government has taken one more very big step before demonetization. They have opened account for everyone. There was standing instruction for all banks to open zero balance account for everyone. Government
yes.
has given, yeah,
I read about this. Yeah,
government has given a mandate to the all banks to open all accounts. Nobody should in India, as far as government of India is concerned, nobody in India should have a person who don't have an account. So we are giving a bank account. We are trying to giving them a insurance policy, so that there should be a benefit for the life also. But because of lack of education literacy rate, people are still not getting those things. But yes, government have changed that policy also. So many changes are changing happening nowadays. If you
mm,
see after COVID, I
yeah,
may be amazed when economy will the world will open. You will see a new India altogether.
mm.
The perception should
Interesting,
actually a little bit changed. Yeah, of course other
interesting.
economy
Yeah,
also, if you ask me, all economy, even President Trump also favor India on that part. President Obama also talk about that part. And if you see even our entire region, Southeast Asia region, where if you talk about Asia, we need world need to be stability in India for their peace also, right? If India is stable, world will be stable. Because so it's uh, now would say it's important for everyone. If India is strong, uh, world will strong, world will grow, because we are the largest democracy government in India. We work on the systems, we have the laws, and our laws are based on the ground, which laid by the British people as well as the Western countries. So we are on those systems. We have all four pillars of government or the governance. We are working. We have a judiciary system, we have a journalism is there, there's a bureaucracy is there, and there are execution, everything is on their own. So we are there. If India is strong, so the entire peninsula, if you'd say India is strong, then Southeast Asia, if you ask about it, it will actually grow. No need to be another war, third war in the world. So it's both phases important. Yeah.
your paper, which there was one paper called I think it's called demonetization to digitalization.
Hmm.
Um, so from again from your perspective and also your research about how because if we try to connect demonetization to digital inclusion or digitalization in general,
Hmm.
how do you see the status of obstacles, whether those obstacles still remain or whether 3 4 years, if we separate post COVID, uh, are those obstacles to digitalization or
I
digital
I
inclusion?
give you a small example of my
Yeah.
own journey. I done my BE in electronics in 2001, and then I did my MBA in 2003. There I made a project on mobile phone, and the uh, I was making a project on the MMS. There was MMS was there. MMS, there was no WhatsApp that time. So SMS and WhatsApp, MMS was there. So there's a
Okay.
video
Okay.
as
Yes.
was there.
Yes.
That's is I'm talking about 2004 and something,
Yes.
where
Yes.
entire 2G was there only. There was no 3G. So we had
Yes.
an SMS and the MMS. MMS
Yes.
means that you will send some movies, and SMS you send some message, text message of 160
Text message. Yes.
characters and all that. That time this Paytm and these guys came into the picture, and e-commerce started in India that time.
Yes.
And nobody was actually in a favor that India will have adopt these systems, because there's a lot of infrastructure problems there, laws are not there,
Yes.
cyber security was there. So people were thinking this could not be possible in India. But after demonetization, during demonetization, now if you have want to buy a cup of tea, you don't need a cash.
Mm.
You can do the payment on Paytm. In fact, the government which want to convert a mobile phone as a your wallet, so it is already been done now. So if you come to the India, so if you don't have cash in your pocket, you can sustain your life on your mobile only. You be in auto, you be on rickshaw, or you go to the market, you buy a cup of tea, you buy anything, you can do it on the mobile phone. And if you see the uh, data also of financial inclusion of in on the digital platform, be it a Belgium, Sweden, USA, they have almost 80%, right? Sweden is
Yes.
100%, and we were only 16% and 10% on before the demonetization. Now see the data of ours, how we are there, how the our rate has been increased on that front. So people are investing on this, people are playing on this. Even our youth, every youth in college is on the digital platform. Everybody is
Yes.
using
Yes.
ATMs. So time is not far that India's goal is to 100% financial inclusion and digitalization. But yes, gradually it takes time because in countries
Yes.
it's
Takes
very
time.
large.
Takes time.
But
Of course, there will be early adopters, and of course, but if we think about, like you mentioned, getting a cup of tea without cash, of course, the ecosystem of the unorganized sector has to support it. The tea seller needs to accept
yes,
digital payment,
they are doing it. They are
but
doing
then
it.
his suppliers, for example,
Mhm.
where he buys his sugar and his milk and his tea from, they
Mhm.
also have to accept, because otherwise he will,
See,
how,
what
go
government
ahead.
has done is GST. This is a goods and services tax. Entire filing of this is online. If you want to
Mm.
file a GST, you have to pay in online. And if you don't file a GST, your goods would be very costlier than the you cannot get that tax redemption, and that your product would be very costlier. So
Okay,
even if you a few days back, have you seen the news that one businessman's got raid, and almost 200 crore was found at his house? Have you seen that?
no, no, I did not.
Some we have an unorganized. That's a we had an one thing which we call pan. You know about pan, gutka. You know about it.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yes, yes. So he,
So the person was selling scent perfumes for that particular things, and he sold he do all business without paying tax and all. And when government raid his house, almost 200 crore rupees found at his house. A lot of money was on
In
his
cash.
cash. Yeah,
Oh, oh,
he got stuck because of GST. Now the government was in fact not aware that such a person, such a this guy should have so much money, right? Government GST. What actually happened is they stopped a truck at barrier, and then they asked the invoicing. Now there's a e-way invoicing is coming on in India. Like you been to India before? Before
yes,
you been to India?
yes, I visited.
So if you come to India, there's a lot of toll tax are there. Now we are using smart tax. Like in
Okay,
GST, we had a provision like that. You had invoicing on invoicing on your e-way invoicing, and that should be a barcoded, so that once
okay,
your truck or your vehicle goes from that barrier, they actually knows what is going on. We are
okay.
implementing that, which is not implemented yet. So what GST people has found, that particular truck that vehicle don't have the entire invoices. They went for raid for, let's say, 2 crore 3 crores, but eventually they found 200 crores. So
Oh,
now if you
okay.
see in India, people people are moving in Mercs, BMWs, and they are not paying tax. So very soon they will be in the ambit of tax system.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think so.
it will catch up, right? You cannot hide forever. It will catch up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
But your hypothesis is that GST is a system to level the playing field for everyone. Everyone becomes part of it becomes included into the system,
That
including the unorganized sector.
one is that. Another is what I said earlier. The filing of tax was offline. We can file the tax. Because of
Okay.
GST, you have to file your tax online. And once you do that, when anyone who send anything to anywhere, he has to make a eBay bill, and that eBay bill has to be digitalized. Because of once it is digitalized, it will be connected to your PAN number, and PAN number is directly connected to your Aadhaar number. So if you are filing a tax, you will get a rebate from tax, you get a returns on that, and then in turn you pass on to your vendors. So if people are not using it, they will out of the business.
Mm,
So India is using those structure reforms as if now eventually we actually don't take fancy steps, we take a structural steps in our. If you talk about our democracy, our system, we made a constitution. On that basis, we are sustained in this world for 75 years. Just now we got independent in 1947. Now we are growing, we are saying we are growing, but yes, we are growing. I would say we are getting a GDP of almost 8% growth. So we are growing with all hiccups, but still uh, we are standing our own because our strong fundamentals, and we will work on fundamentals on this front also, and we are working on it.
mm, mm, mm. How about like you mentioned, for example, just paying GST online?
Mhm.
Uh, how is the unorganized sector uh, bringing themselves into the system?
Okay, let me tell you. Let me take one example. If somebody buys something from someone without paying a tax earlier,
Yes,
generally
yes.
what actually he does is he don't pay the tax and he do his business for entire his life. Like there are some communities in India who are doing their business from generations. They are not even paying tax and all, and they are doing business, and their things are getting done. There's a market in India, an organized market, which we say. But now what they're doing is, if you are not paying tax, right? So there's an amount which government of India takes as a tax, and they refund it, right?
Okay,
So if you don't give the tax, right, so you don't take that amount, but your overall cost will increase, because you are not in this part of system. Ultimately your
right,
cost will become higher. The person
yes.
who is paying tax, who is in the system, he will be more competitive than the person who is not doing paying tax. So those
It's like
things are there.
a penalty function.
It would be not yeah, it could be a penalty on that kind, because government is not saying that we will send some our intelligence people, but he will automatically out of the business, because of his prices would be higher than the person who is paying tax. So that's how it goes. So this is a economic growth of India, financial inclusion, all these steps. Because earlier, if you see, people still it is there, people in India always want to have a government jobs. Now government don't have a jobs to employ people so much on their own payrolls. So it
Yes.
is there to make people on their own. So that's why they are creating jobs, and they are saying people, you just create a job. If you see the patents, innovations, we are working very hard on it. Our academics are going on those fronts also. We are filing patents now every days. If you see the filing of patents in India, or Indian patents in Australia, Canada, Germany, we are doing it on a bigger way. Like US is also,
Yes.
US is way, we cannot compare ourselves with US, but
Yeah.
now we are working on those type of things. What we say to our researchers, you first do patent of your research and do your research, right? So that's how we do.
Yeah. Of course, there are many, even the patents done in the US, there are many Indians who are doing it. So,
In fact, if you talk about, we are not against US also. If you talk about US economy, bigger people who are contributing to the economy, they are the Indians. and
yes,
uh,
yes,
and we are proud of it, and that we are, and we take, that's our diaspora, their diaspora also, help of their
yes,
diaspora also,
yes,
because a lot of Indians are working across globe. But yes,
yeah,
if you see, if we are working on strong fundamentals, be in India or be in any country, we will be engine of growth rather than making a nuisance. That's our focus is on.
when is your book or your publication, your research being published?
My book is under publication, that is under process. So I believe in a month or so, or
Okay,
after some time, I will be there, and I will send it to you also, the copy of the same.
okay, all right. I will appreciate that.
Yes, yes. Because I
So,
have done, I conduct a lot of workshops online. So I have students from across globe. So
okay,
nowadays I'm working on R. Very soon I will start working on NVO and qualitative analysis, how to
okay,
do codings
okay,
and all that. We will do it.
all right, all
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
You conduct workshops on using of these tools.
yeah. NVO which you talk.
Okay, interesting.
So I use those NVO for my research also.
Yes, yes, yes. How about back to the topic? What other obstacles do you see uh, for unorganized sector? Again, back to inclusion, financial inclusion. Today, let's say this is 2022 now. Demonetization is a long time ago.
Hmm.
COVID is hopefully past.
Hmm.
What other obstacles do you see to 100% inclusion, for example, as a goal?
There's a two three factors on India needs to work on. One is education. The basically, we have a lot of education institutes are in India, but the challenge in the quality of education. So India needs to work on the quality of education. That is very important for, for government of India to take care of, and government has taken very bold steps on this, because education should reach to the poorest people. Whereas
Yes,
nowadays it is not so, because the higher qualification, like we have an IITs,
yes,
our IITians are working across the globe, right? And we have an IIMs. If you see, the IIMs are also working. One of our professor Raghuram Rajan, these guys are from IIMs only, are working in Harvard and all, right? But if you talk about second line, they are not working anywhere.
mm, there's a big difference in quality.
There's a big difference. So that difference has to be narrowed down. And I spent my almost 4 years in IIM Ahmedabad. I wrote my thesis from in IIM Ahmedabad, and closely seen those people how they are working. I've worked in IITs during my research when I did my PhD. Then I realized there's a lot of things when I was not in these places, when I was in normal institutes. I was not even aware of those things which are there, right? But now if you come to those system, IITs and IIMs altogether different. We need more IITs, we need more IIMs, and we are working on it. Government has taken a lot of steps there, but yes, education is a good business, and it has to be done in a proper way. And government is working it very hard on this, and I believe if education system becomes stronger, and then these steps would be very easy to implement. One, second is the infrastructure. Our infrastructure, if you see our airports, our roads, our hospitals, uh, other things, we need to work heavily on that. We need to earlier uh, Prime Minister Vajpayee has done a step. He actually connect India through some roads, and a lot of roads, heavily investments come on the roads. Now Prime Minister Modi is also working on it, and then he is working on sea routes also, ports also. We have very, if you see our border from Gujarat to uh, West Bengal, right? Sea coast. Our sea coast is so large, and we have so much potential over there, but which we need to unlock, right? So if we have some ports, good ports, and easy to access to the Western world, or the other people also, so that if you see one container comes to a port, and it takes almost 2 3 hours, 2 3 days, months to be there, so it has to be work accordingly. So our system should be stronger, like of your system, like France is there. They are very good on their
For,
infrastructure. Yeah, they can
for
help.
education, I can understand. I can see the connection, education to financial inclusion.
Mhm.
How do you connect infrastructure to financial
see
inclusion?
see if you want to, financial inclusion means growth of economy. Growth of economy means money in economy, and money in
Okay,
economy means strong infrastructure. If you see our trade,
okay.
our trade with the our trade with US, our trade with Russia, our trade with France, our trade with other countries, uh, uh, the amount of trade which we do with these countries and the amount of trade which we need to do, it's a lot of difference set. And why not it has been done? Because of infrastructure. People don't want to come. Even Vice President Kerry, John Kerry, when came to India, he's talk about roads, he talk about um, water logging. so, so if
No, it's interesting. No, it's good. No, I wanted to hear your perspective of how to make the connection, and
yes, yes, yes,
it makes sense.
yes.
So what else? You mentioned education. You mentioned infrastructure.
Mhm.
What else would be obstacles or enablers? You could think about the other way, the flip side of what are the enablers.
In my research, I have worked on, I believe, almost 10 parameters on these
Okay,
things, and I will share those with you. How it is. One is the education was there, then infrastructure is there, then health is another one. Problem is in India, a lot of investment is going on now because of COVID, and Prime Minister is very sensitive on health issues.
okay.
During I was fortunate that I did my PhD from Gujarat, where he was a chief minister there earlier, because we have a chief minister then prime minister, so he was a chief minister in Gujarat there. So he transformed Gujarat dramatically when he was there. People are lot of saying about him that he's do something, but
Mm-hmm.
principally what he has done in Gujarat is need to be done in India in a broader way.
Okay.
So India need to transform, and there is no other options with us just to transform. Because if you see our education, we are almost 135 crore people, out of which, if you see, uh, we have largest youth in world. If we don't give them opportunity proper, then we could be a next Afghanistan, which we can't afford to be, and even world cannot afford to be, right? So we need to do this. We need to make a development to reach to the village level. Then and then we can give right opportunities to our youth, because our youth is now will drive. That's how it goes.
Mm-hmm. I will go through. Maybe I can find the 10 items that you mentioned in your other paper. I will look.
I will
That,
send it. I will send it to my, once my book
okay.
got published. I will send you my book also. And
Okay.
if
Okay.
I, because I've changed my a little bit on my laptop, I can show you. Just let's see
Okay.
if I
All right.
possible I can share. I can just let me see if I can share.
Mm.
I don't have as if now.
Oh, that's
But
okay.
this is,
Well,
but yes, I
we
will
won't
share
worry.
later.
It will not disappear, right? We will.
Yeah,
I will make
I
sure
will
it
share
gets.
all these
Yeah.
factors. I had worked on various factors. What is on infrastructure we need. We need lot of roads as if now. We need lot of
Okay.
electricity is another problem for us. If you see how
Yes.
electricity is connected,
Yes.
if there
Yes.
is no
Yes.
electricity, no financial inclusion. So
Of
if you
course.
see
Of
the,
course. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
our Prime Minister Manmohan Singh also worked on very hard on this, and
Mm.
nuclear deal, we done nuclear deal with the US because of this, because we need
Mm.
a power, right? Because of power, we need to be power independent country, and lot of
Yes.
problems
Yes.
because of the power also we are facing.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
another issue which we are working on. So non renewable resources we are working on. We are working on solar power and other things, but independent of the power is another thing which is important for growth of Indian economy, financial inclusion for internet also. So that's a major challenge in India.
Mm. Very good. I I think I have. I'm also looking at the time. I don't want to extend too much because of
I hope
your.
I hope we have covered all the topics which you have discussed.
I think we have. I think we have. It was a very rich discussion. I appreciate how you connected the overall country goals and how demonetization um, influenced, the outcomes, and also, 5 years later, if we look back, there are certain things that would not have been possible if that was not done, right? So, uh, connecting it to, for example, you mentioned, education infrastructure, but also the more, sort of detailed enablers to digitalization and also to inclusion. So for me, it was a very rich conversation. Um, I I will listen to the recording after to refresh, the comments, and I also look back to your other published papers to connect the dots. But is there anything else that you want to add, or
Government of
anybody else you suggest I speak with?
because if you want to, you should talk to Amitabh Kant. He's a chief CEO of Niti Aayog.
What's the surname?
Amitabh Kant.
Kant?
Yeah, he's a CEO for Niti Aayog, because earlier we had a system called Planning Commission. Now he's the one of the top senior executive for Niti Aayog. You can talk to him, and you can
Okay.
talk to the people at Niti Aayog. They are the policy formers there, so
Okay.
they are doing it. So once you talk to them, and although in even of Monte Singh Anuwalia,
What's that?
Monteg Singh Ahluwalia, although he's a congressman, but if he share his thoughts like I'm sharing with you, I think we all would be on the same page.
Okay. Okay.
So he's
Can you because I cannot find the spelling. Can you give
Monteg,
me those names?
MON,
M-O-N-T-K.
Monteg, MONTK,
Okay.
Monteg Singh, SINGH,
Oh, Singh.
Ahluwalia. He's the chairman for Planning Commission under the leadership of Manmohan Singh ji,
Okay. Okay.
and
Monte.
Monte Singh Ahluwalia, and we have a Niti Aayog, NITIAAYOUG Ayog. He's the CEO of Niti Aayog, Amitabh Kant.
Okay.
You can talk to him. They are the main people who are working on these type of things. That's they can work on. But if you see, we are focusing on these things. It's not a one person in India.
Mm.
If you talk about things, one person is doing and something is doing. It's in a success decision taken on succession.
Yes.
If you see China become a country in 1945, and we liberated around 147. What we have done and what China has done is, China has invested on their bottom pyramid first. They're going for the manufacturing, and we went for the service, because we had an employed, educated youth with us. So we lead in the education sector.
Mm.
And China invested on the manufacturing sector,
That's
and they are leaders on the manufacturing now. Now they are coming to the service, and we are going to the.
manufacturing.
So that's how it goes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I will.
Pleasure.
Again, I really appreciate the
Thank you.
contribution and the conversation that you made.
Thank you.
Very helpful. Very helpful to me.
And if you need
I
any help,
will.
let me know.
Yes, I will look for the names that you mentioned. If I can find the contact.
You can find them on. They are the they're the leaders. They're the
Okay.
giants. You
Okay.
can find it.
Very good. Very good. I'll reach out to them, and I hope they will spare some time for me.
Mhm.
Anything else that you want to add before we conclude?
I hope if you are all questions answered, I'm okay with it.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much, Doctor, and
Thank
appreciate your time. Have a good rest of